crypto market is red, red, red. And we are back to $2 trillion mark. The fear is at the extreme end when you look at the crypto market. The fear and greed index shows you we are at the extreme point of this. Now, why am I starting with this? Because, this is that part of the year or that part of the cycle where we're having extreme fear, and that is something you need to look at. Last month, last week, last day, and right now it's at 10. Now that is super low. Now, why do I say that? You come back here, you look at this, say you're looking from 2018 all the way up to 2022, and you look at these points, right? Where you have been at these bottom levels. Say right now you're at that range where you're like 10, fine. So your index is super extreme. And if you look at this one where you reversed, it was 10. Now that's interesting. And then you look at this one again. That's 22. So in this range, you are watching that the price comes here. The market moves into that level of fear and slowly consolidate there before it go back up. Now you go back to the points before that, which is in 2020, and you can actually see 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, that region before you pumped. Now in 2019 is when you actually came to 5. So we don't know whether we are going to reach that area or not, but if you look at the last 4 years, you can definitely say this, or at least clearly argue this one, like this is a one-off, right? But if you look at the majority of the perspective, you can see this. But at this point, what I would like to highlight to you guys is the wordings from Howard Marks, because say you take the average and say the average is 15. So don't be that guy who's like 6 feet 3 tall and who crossed the river which was 5 feet deep on average, and he just went down. Because at some point it would be lower and at some point it would be higher. That's the average, right? So don't just go in the average like that. But the point here is this is a one-off. You can clearly see there's no other points which is coming lower to 5. So right now when you're at 10, it shows you the market has reached that level of fear. You don't actually have new buyers coming in one side. Then you have a ton of sellers. That's what's happening now. And as we are going down to that level of bottom, you can see the volume is slowly changing. We had this red, green bars there, but the red one is so big and the selling volume is shown there as super high. So if you look at this one, the biggest selling volume in this region, what you see is that particular day peaked, meaning the selling pressure was over by that time, and slowly the buyers came and consumed that. But now that's on a daily basis, so you'll have to actually go on a macro level to look at what's happening right now to understand what we can expect, right? Because more or less we came to the moving average, it didn't hold, we consolidated there and broke below that. Right now we are at this horizontal level of support where we think we are going to hold for some time. Now that's the probability. We don't know what's going to happen, but chances are this may remain as a support and this may act as a base, because last time we visited this range, yes, we wicked towards 40k and then slowly grinded back up. Right now when you revisit that area, if you're able to bounce, this would be a strong level of support. But yes, you are looking also at the indicators, right? The MACD has crossed to the downside. We are still moving to the downside. So you do need to either consolidate here for a long time or go lower. Say you can wick lower to $39,000 and go back up. The change in volume is happening so swiftly here. You do have to look at how things are moving. Because right now you can see 1.5 billion in buy and 1.45 billion in sell. It's getting so close. So mostly when you are looking at the coins, either you see massive difference in the buy and sell when one area is shifting to other. Otherwise you are still consolidating. So now for XRP, yes, we do have positive sides to understand, because say just one thing here, when we look at these stuff and say it's just XRP ledger, it's just XRP, you do have to understand there are a lot of networks getting connected into this. Say the Moja Loop is another one which is going through the idea of financial inclusion and using the interoperability layer, which is inter-ledger protocol from Ripple. So that's a huge advantage there. Why? Because they're using this for mobile payments, which are usually micro payments, and they're using it for the interoperability automatically goes in to the Moja Loop, which is actually built on XRP ledger. So these kind of stuff which majority are missing right now is the actual value of an asset, of that network, of that ledger. So if this is not getting priced in right now, that means it's undervalued. And while it's undervalued, buying it is the opportunity way. Now, on a daily, yes, we are fluctuating too much. You can see this area. Say this was back in 2020. And you can actually recognize the end. We came up, we went back down. Then again, we came back, retested that region. Now, if you look at that region, you're just extending that, right? That particular region. And you see another retest here. You see another retest here. One was support, another one was resistance. So when you broke above that one, when you came back up, you went below and retested that region again. Now that shows you it's a valid support resistance zone. Then if you're extending that even more, you can see a wick came towards there. It touched inside that region and went back, or you can see it tried to pierce through, but it didn't happen. We went back up. Right now you're coming back down, and to get a textbook double bottom for you, you need a bounce. Now that's just anticipation, right? We don't know what's going to happen, but we'll have to see how the market reacts. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. Guys, before we actually jump on to the details, I would like to actually inform you this. Now, when everyone says I've got the exact bottom, once, yeah, it can be a possibility that he turned lucky. But if he's like, every time I'm getting the exact bottom, you need to think. You need to think. And the same, if he's getting the exact top, time and time over again, then you need to think whether he's a human being or a bot like that. But anyway, that's the idea from Bernard here, right? Then you look at the next one from Warren Buffett. Fools and greed usually go hand in hand, which creates a field of opportunity for the rational man. So now the question is, are we being rational or irrational here looking at the crypto fear? Because the fear and greed index show you this one, that we are at one of the extreme ends in the measurement history of this tool, right? You click the maximum and you come down here, not just coming back to like the 1 month, 3 month, 1 year kind of stuff, because here you won't actually get to this level, because here if you are taking a decision based on just last 3 months or a year, it may not be perfect. Yes, you can see like the last time we bounced here was at this region, but you still don't get too much of data points to say, okay, this has been there happening over and over again for a long period of time, right? So this one actually indicates us that it has been. Now that is why when you go back into the Bitcoin dominance, you see an opportunity here for Bitcoin to rise up, and you look at the volume for Bitcoin dominance increasing, right? Comparing it with the daily fluctuations here, you are watching that it was high at the top like this before, and right now when you are watching this increasing and the RSI breaking out, that is kind of not a good sign for every one of us, because most of us are out of BTC and in altcoin. But that is a good thing for the market. Why? Because we see that people are saying we're going to go to $10,000 Bitcoin, $15,000 Bitcoin, which can be possible, I don't know. But personally, I don't think that's going to happen right now, looking at the market cycle, right? Where we are in the market cycle, at least in my opinion. So when I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, Bitcoin still has room to go to the upside. So if it's running to the upside now, what would be the resistance levels? So you kind of go onto a daily chart or 3-day chart, it's up to you. And you're looking at this, okay, if we are bouncing from here, $46,000, is going to be the first level of resistance. Why? If you take these out and just go into the price action to look at where we are going to be retesting, this is an area, right? You came down week there, now you're repeatedly going in there. You can zoom in and see that, right? You're coming back down, you're bouncing, you're coming back down, bouncing. So that's happening again and again. So that is going to be your support, which you broke, which is now turned as a resistance when you're going back up. So now say somewhere close to that 45-46, you have a resistance. Fine. Now looking at the trend line, which is also really important to actually watch where you're actually going. Say this is your trend line, which you can observe like you're falling in this particular trend. So now usually when we see this particular trend, we say that's not bearish actually. Either we are in a correction, in a trend, or we are making a bullish pattern. So if both of them are true or not, we don't know. Only the time will tell us. But the possibility still remains that you visited the lower end on the RSI on a daily chart, right? So you're making kind of a bottom where the RSI is also showing you this top, connecting this top and extending through this top, gives you an idea that yes, you broke higher previously, you came back and you are retesting it. And if you are able to bounce from that, that is a change in trend. Why? Because RSI, I personally consider it like it kind of gives you idea. It really gives you an idea of what's going to happen next. Now, it can be a possibility, but still, possibility is a possibility. You can't actually neglect it, because if you're out of this, there is no possibility. Think people are here aiming for millions of dollars. Great. But if you're not trying, you're not reaching there. Only if you drop out now, that target of millions end. If you don't, there is still a possibility to reach there, right? So that is where we are in the market when you look at everything and say, okay, this is going to end badly. Great, fine. If that's your perspective, you don't have to be in this market. You can slowly move out, because that belief of yours will influence any decision you make in investing from here on. If you are confident enough in the market, now, confidence of an investor and arrogance, you need to understand that. If you understand the fundamentals super deep and your understanding is like, okay, I've done the research for a long time and I think this is what's going to happen, and you believe in it, that's not arrogance. If you can define why you think this is going to happen, because if you are watching patterns repeating again and again, slowly, this may repeat again. Now that's on a daily chart, I agree. Now we go on to look at the general market and say, okay, what if Bitcoin is actually bouncing? Yes, and it goes towards the first resistance level, which is 46,000, and gets rejected. Now you come back down here on your RSI and you look at like, yeah, we are somewhere close to the bottom. You extend that region and you see over and over again, time and time over again, we have been bouncing through that range. Yes, we do get some time where we are waking down and then going back immediately up, right? We are not staying there for a long time or going down from there. Because when people say, okay, we are done, we are doing a 40% correction, what we forget is Bitcoin usually corrects 70%. Now you go back to the top here and then look at this one. It was like 56-57% drop, right? Yeah, 56% drop. That's not small thing. And right now you are somewhere close to 40% drop. So one common stuff you see here is that say your major correction is 40%, then your followed by correction inside that pattern is smaller. So here was 56. So if you are anticipating the same trend to continue, 40% dip is not a small thing. Buyers are entering there. So when buyers were actually highlighting you, we are buying at $57,000, we are buying at $56,000. That was kind of a trap, we can say. But otherwise, you can say on their side and say, nah, they didn't actually understand what they were doing at that time. Fine. But no one knows what the market is going to do, right? So you're not going to get the exact top or the exact bottom. Now you come to the XRP for that matter. And you're looking at XRP to understand what XRP is going to do possibly. Now, yes, you do have to agree on one point that, XRP is still above this trend line, which is bullish, which is happy for all of us. But staying close to this this trend line, we can call it now as a dead line, meaning, if we are not bouncing from there, your motivation level goes down, you're moving into different assets. Now, even if you believe on this particular asset, your emotions are overcoming that fundamentals and looking at the market in general, and you see a couple of assets pumping and you're asking the question, should I move on to that asset? Should I move on to this asset? Now, right now, the opportunities are really rare, but some of these assets which we were entering as trades didn't go down much, right? Now, yes, it didn't go up, but we thought this is going to go up, but the Bitcoin dropped, and this didn't go up, but this didn't drop much. So your purchasing power didn't actually go down, and you're still inside that trade, which is great. Now, on a weekly chart, for XRP, this is clear, right? We are looking all the way back to 2018, where we're coming back down from that bull run. So that's a bear market. And you got this as support. Then you went back, retested that, got rejected, came back lower. Then another retest of the moving average, which happens inside that region. Now you're extending that, and you're able to see not one or two, but multiple price actions in that range. You go up, you are getting rejected, you go back down. You go back up, you are again getting rejected. People are selling out, sellers are entering back into the market, you are coming back down. Now, next time when you go back and cross that one, you do have to see the level of volume coming in and the price action. You just broke that one to the upside with a huge candle. So that's a genuine breakout. Now you're coming back down, retesting it, going back, the panic. Now the panic, and now as we call the fear and greed, you need to understand, when you are in that panic, you're not just visiting the actual bottom. Imagine it like a pendulum moving like this, right? So this pendulum, what happens is it goes here and it directly come back here. So it doesn't actually stop here in the middle. That is the problem. So when it's in the panic mode, you go lower than it should go, and that's the undervalued moment. We went to 0.5. Those who bought there really made profit here, or at least those who missed this one had another good opportunity to buy this one. Now, if that is the case based on the theory, that means next time we are not coming back down to this point. Now, no one knows. This is just an ideology based on price action, which we have seen in the history for XRP comparing with Bitcoin, right? So while we compare that and say, okay, after a 10x to the upside, the market just came 70% down, that's okay. But right now, you didn't actually have a 10x to come down massively like that. You went from 0.5 to 1.5. This is just 3x. So anticipating way more correction for XRP from here may not be the right thing to do. Now, we can actually go look at this one and say, okay, we came back lower. We don't know how low it's going to go, but still it's 50% drop from the peak. That is great. You are going to usually buy back from around 40-50% drop from the highs. Say if you see something at $10 and then coming back down to $5, and you still think that is going to go to $100, then $5 is a better buy than $10, right? So that's an opportunity. Now it's all up to you how you look at the market, but you do understand that the ability of market to manipulate your mind, your emotions, is always there. If you think you are right, you need to look at history and ask yourself again and again, am I making the rational choice? Or are you with the irrational group? Right? So when you are, for me, I'm not in Bitcoin, right? So I don't have any emotions there. Now, when I'm looking at XRP, yes, I do have a big bag of XRP considering my portfolio. Biggest position is XRP. So when I'm looking at this, I don't think this is just emotion coming out just because of what I'm holding, but what I can easily say, this is a trend which can be observed on a macro chart. And each time you are coming back to the bottom of this trend line is being a support. So that means people are buying, considering that this particular range is undervalued for this particular asset, and they are buying it. So when you look at this one, you are like, okay, fine, you are going through this area. Fine, now you're extending that. You're extending that. You're extending that. You're extending that. So as you go close to that line, you get that understanding that people are buying. Now, to validate that, you can actually go look at the RSI. Your first bottom comes here, the horizontal. Okay, we'll take the horizontal line itself and drop here, say the horizontal ray 1 here, and you're getting close to that one. Then the next one here, you're getting close to that one. Fine. So that's a tight range of support which you're observing in the RSI where you're going towards now. And your overhead resistance kind of range like this. So while trending inside this, each time when you have visited the bottom, the price has bounced, meaning buyers were attracted to buy this asset at that point. But on a short-term basis, when you are looking at this, you do understand we have downside till 0.7. So on a big view here, if you are looking at that 0.7 mark, it's so close here. That means on a weekly, you may wick lower and then go back up. See, you can see we have done lower wicks like these previously. So anticipating that the price is going to go down completely is going to be a possibility. We are not saying it's not a possibility, but the game of patience and the game of possibility is like which one has the higher odds. Are you at a place in the market cycle where you're topping out, the euphoria is at the sky and you're going to drop? At least for me, while looking at this chart, I don't actually see that. I see this as a huge opportunity where you have created a long base and you're trending higher with a higher high and a higher low for this matter here and even at this point. So basically, we are waiting for a breakout. So when you break out, now we don't know when it's going to break out, but once you are breaking this one up, say the next one is the $1 mark, which we need to break. But as you break higher, you have a long way to the upside, which I think a majority of people will actually miss because they are moving into another asset. Say, for example, just take an example. You move from XRP, move into another asset that dips. And then you see XRP slowly grinding back up. Even if you sold XRP at $1 and you're buying back XRP at $1.5, yeah, you got in back in, but you lose 50% of that unless you got price appreciation and increased purchasing power from the other asset. If you are losing purchasing power on the other asset and XRP price is going up, you lose your purchasing power on both sides. So that is something you need to keep your eye on. Now, always remember, at this point, usually we reverse back to the upside. You can say this is a one-off if you are looking just at one point. But when you are looking at multiple data points over the years, history kind of rhymes itself, right? That's what we learn. So don't neglect that. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. That supports the channel a lot. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.